Welcome to APUSH for 5, your shortcut to mastering the AP U.S. history exam. Let's jump into our midterm review, periods 1 through 4. If you can master these hard-level questions, you're well on your way to an A. Question 1. Stimulus. James Madison, Federalist number 10, 1787. The latent causes of faction are thus sown in the nature of man. John C. Calhoun, Disquisition on Government, 1840s. To give each interest a concurrent voice is the only means of guarding against oppression. Question. The relationship between Madison's and Calhoun's arguments reflects what persistent theme in U.S. political theory? A. The debate over whether federalism should privilege local sovereignty. B. The anxiety that unchecked majority rule could degenerate into tyranny, demanding structural mechanisms of restraint. C. The conflict between agrarian and industrial republicanism. D. The tension between written and unwritten constitutionalism. The correct answer is B. The anxiety that unchecked majority rule could degenerate into tyranny, demanding structural mechanisms of restraint. Both feared majoritarian excess, Madison through pluralism, Calhoun via institutional vetoes. Question 2. Stimulus. See image. Question. Calhoun's doctrine of the concurrent majority most directly transformed Madison's logic by A. Converting a safeguard for pluralism into a regional defense of minority privilege, especially regarding slavery. B. Replacing constitutional checks with judicial supremacy. C. Advocating proportional representation based on population. D. Eliminating party competition in favor of executive mediation. The correct answer is A. Converting a safeguard for pluralism into a regional defense of minority privilege, especially regarding slavery. Calhoun radicalized Madison's minority protections into a justification for sectional nullification. Question 3. Stimulus. See image. Question. Compared with Madison's vision, Calhoun's reasoning reveals which transformation in the nature of political conflict by the 1840s? A. The resolution of constitutional disputes through westward expansion. B. The stabilization of national consensus after the War of 1812. C. The collapse of party organization amid judicial expansion. D. The evolution from interest-based factionalism to sectional ideology rooted in moral and economic divergence. The correct answer is D. The evolution from interest-based factionalism to sectional ideology rooted in moral and economic divergence. Calhoun's defense of state sovereignty transformed Madison's pluralist factionalism into sectional ideology, as moral and economic divisions over slavery redefined national politics. Question 4. Stimulus. Thomas Jefferson, Letter to Meriwether Lewis, 1803. Observe with care the soil and the face of the country, the growth of trees, the animals, the mineral productions, and the ranges of mountains. John C. Calhoun, Speech on Internal Improvements, 1817. Let us bind the Republic together with a perfect system of roads and canals. Let us conquer space question. Jefferson's and Calhoun's statements both express a belief that A. Geographic exploration should remain separate from projects of national defense or expansion. B. Economic modernization required limiting federal influence to preserve states' autonomy. C. The systematic study and improvement of the continent were central to the Republic's strength and cohesion. D. Natural resources could best be exploited through private investment rather than government action. The correct answer is C. The systematic study and improvement of the continent were central to the Republic's strength and cohesion. Both Jefferson and Calhoun viewed knowledge and mastery of the land through exploration or infrastructure, as essential to securing Republican unity and prosperity. Question 5. Stimulus. See image. Question. Calhoun's call to conquer space most clearly reflects which broader historical transformation underway in the early 19th century? A. The rise of an activist federal government that used transportation networks to overcome regional isolation and stimulate market integration. B. The Southern campaign to expand slave labor into new territories through agricultural colonization. C. The transition from mercantilist trade dependency toward autarkic economic self-sufficiency. D. The spread of conservationist thought emphasizing the preservation of the western frontier. The correct answer is A. The rise of an activist federal government that used transportation networks to overcome regional isolation and stimulate market integration. Calhoun's vision of conquering space embodied the era's federalist nationalism, using internal improvements to bind the continent and accelerate market development. Question 6. Stimulus. See image. Question. How does Calhoun's 1817 speech most directly reinterpret Jefferson's agrarian vision? A. By reaffirming the agrarian distrust of industry and credit. B. By rejecting Jefferson's suspicion of centralized power in favor of a nationalist economic state. C. By equating agriculture with moral virtue as the foundation of Republican stability. D. By prioritizing local sovereignty over internal cohesion. The correct answer is B. By rejecting Jefferson's suspicion of centralized power in favor of a nationalist economic state, Calhoun transformed Jefferson's pastoral independence into a program of coordinated national development. Question 7. Stimulus. Jonathan Edwards, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, 1741. The God that holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider, abhors you. Charles Finney, Lectures on Revivals of Religion, 1835. God has made man a moral agent. Revival is not a miracle, but the right use of means. Question. Together, these sermons best illustrate which major transformation in American religious thought between the First and Second Great Awakenings? A. A unified national church centered on hierarchical authority. B. A rejection of moral reform as inconsistent with divine sovereignty. C. A convergence between Enlightenment rationalism and Puritan fatalism. D. The movement from Calvinist predestination toward evangelical human agency and salvation. The correct answer is D. The movement from Calvinist predestination toward evangelical human agency and salvation. Edwards stressed divine wrath. Finney emphasized human choice, signaling the democratization of salvation and reform. Question 8. Stimulus. See image. Question. Finney's claim that revival was not a miracle most directly reflected which broader intellectual current? A. Deist fatalism denying divine intervention. B. Romantic skepticism toward organized religion. C. Enlightenment confidence in human reason and moral improvement. D. Calvinist orthodoxy maintaining total depravity. The correct answer is C. Enlightenment confidence in human reason and moral improvement. Finney merged emotional revivalism with Enlightenment rationality, asserting that human discipline could spark divine change. Question 9. Stimulus. See image. Question. How would a historian contrasting these two sermons would most likely emphasize their differing implications for social reform? A. Edwards's theology discouraged activism. Finney's revivalism mobilized reform movements like temperance and abolition. B. Both promoted political radicalism through church organization. C. Edwards linked conversion with civic virtue. Finney opposed social causes as distractions. D. Both rejected female and lay participation in religion. The correct answer is A. Edwards's theology discouraged activism. Finney's revivalism mobilized reform movements like temperance and abolition. Finney democratized reform through moral action, while Edwards confined faith to inner conviction. Question 10. Stimulus. In 1774, Massachusetts colonists petitioned Parliament against coercive acts that violated rights as Englishmen. In 1836, abolitionists sent thousands of anti-slavery petitions to Congress, only to face the gag rule suppressing debate. Across both moments, citizens invoked moral principle and constitutional language to demand redress within legal institutions. Question: what continuity between these documents is most significant for understanding American political culture? A. The decline of moral appeals as politics became purely partisan. B. The rejection of representative government in favor of direct democracy. C. The success of petitions in rapidly achieving legislative reform. D. The persistent use of petitioning as a moral and constitutional form of civic protest. The correct answer is D. The persistent use of petitioning as a moral and constitutional form of civic protest. Both revolutionary and reform petitions invoked moral and legal rights as the foundation for public protest. This reflects a deep continuity in American civic identity, faith in moral persuasion through institutional channels. Thanks for watching A Push for 5. Let us know in the comments which questions you liked the most. If today's practice helped you, tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future videos. And share this with a friend who's also aiming for that 5. If you want more hands-on learning or direct feedback, reach out directly. We'd love to help you take your prep to the next level. See you in the next video.